Welcome to the highlights of the Emerging Technology and Social Impact Lab from fall of 2019. The class started as a blockchain challenge lab, but it has evolved when we added artificial intelligence, machine learning, and IoT to give students more choices. It has since evolved even further because despite the plethora of choices, most of the students created startups in the realm of food delivery and hookup apps. So we decided to constrain it and then added social impact. So not only do you have to use disruptive technology, but it must have a social impact. So teams of 4 to 6 people create a startup from the very beginning to the end, including ideation, user validation, go-to-market, prototypes, finance, raising capital, as well as pitching at the end. There are several elements to the class. First is the design thinking foundation. Then there's the Berkeley method of entrepreneurship, reinforced by content from the Venture Dojo, which is a series of videos highlighting the Berkeley method of entrepreneurship. We also use guest lectures to show real-life use cases, and then team assignments and video blog reflections after those assignments are completed. The class concludes with the pitch, and some of the teams get funded, others join the accelerator. We hope that you enjoy the highlights from the fall of 2019 semester. Thank you.
Hi there, I'm Daniel and I'm with Team Press Start, now called Cycled Apparel. And so the problem we're trying to solve is pollution in the fashion industry, because the fashion industry is the second largest polluter in the world after oil, because a lot of people just throw away their clothes, and we're hoping to find a more sustainable solution to this issue.
Hey there, my name is Harsha and I'm a member of Team Calypso. Here at Calypso, we're working on the debt collection industry and trying to find out ways that we can impact debtors and help them really understand their loans and make sure that they can pay back their loans in time to avoid any controversy or other types of fraud.
Hi, well, I'm working with the platform that is connecting the NGOs with the corporations that needs to comply with their CSR, like corporate social responsibility activities.
What people do with their clothes is actually quite varied. The majority of people actually either donate their clothes or just give it to someone else, which is something we hope to take advantage of, because our idea involves reusing clothes. We decided our target audience should actually be parents of children. From our test, the insight we gained from our test can help us in terms of, it helped us define our new approach in targeting children, because we think that's the perfect opportunity in terms of having clothes that are recycled every 1 or 2 years.
So right before we did the survey, we were at a kind of crossroads of how we should pursue our idea, because we were pivoting a lot since the original idea to regulate the selling and buying of sold debts was really hard because of the fact that we didn't have a quite solid social impact. It was very hard to come up with reasons to convince companies to go onto this platform, because they thrive on information asymmetry, where the debtors don't know anything about the debt buying industry.
Our users tended to be students, and out of these many different students, we learned that a lot of them don't really know about the debt collection industry, much less about how to pay back their debts in the most efficient way possible, and some didn't even know that they could actually pay back their debts, considering that their debts were so high and they were just very unsure about where it was going to go. So we decided to change our idea a little, and we came up with the information ecosystem platform. However, this idea didn't seem to work also, because many users said their actual problem was not being able to repackage their debt, but refinance their debt in such a way that they would actually be able to pay it off. So we decided to change the idea once again.
Hi, okay, so let's see. For the research, we attended the India CSR Summit in Delhi on September 23rd and 24th, and that was a great opportunity. So glad that I went. I'm redoing the surveys personally now to find out exactly what I need for the development of the software, as opposed to just kind of figuring out who our customer is. And I think this just sort of shows really that the market's a little bigger than I expected, because there were more voluntary people, like more people who are not under the mandate, that are still there looking for solutions.
From our research, we've decided that there are significant differences between the customer, the end user, and our intended market. So our customer happens to be families and specifically parents of children. And our end user is specifically in the age range 0 to 5, because those children are going to outgrow their clothes the fastest. And so our intended market is low and middle class families.
The reconsolidation of debt is a suggestion that Lukash actually gave that was particularly helpful, because it reframed our business in making the user and the customer into the same person. And that made making a new business, I feel, a lot easier. But based on the user feedback where we were trying to make it easier for a person to reconsolidate, I think we have a pretty good business plan.
The end users are the NGOs and the corporations.
As I was cleaning out my closet this summer, I was surprised by the sheer amount of clothing that I had left over from my childhood. You know, some of these clothes I've maybe worn once or twice in my lifetime. Some were extremely expensive, and that's when I knew I'd encountered a problem. So children's clothing is both expensive and it has a short utility period, which has an incredible financial burden on low-income families. The manufacturing of clothing and its waste also has a significant impact on our environment. So our solution is Cycle, a direct-to-consumer children's apparel rental company that offers an affordable, sustainable, and durable children's garments that are recycled and reused until these garments are no longer usable.
So the technology that actually powers Cycle is deep learning, and our computer vision algorithms will be able to detect holes, shrinkages, and color fading, and also maybe the general wear and tear. With this information, we then will be able to grade this clothing into different tiers or different pricing levels. We also continuously track each product, and then we'll collect data to actually improve our pricing model over the years.
For an individual to be considered a contributing member of society, we expect them to attend college and obtain a skill, open a business offering a useful service, or purchase and maintain a home so that they're rooted in the community. The problem is that we have a debt-based system of access to all of these things. For an individual to be considered a contributing member of society, they must rely on a financial industry that thrives off of predatory practices and high interest rates. Increasingly, students and families are assuming unmanageable loan burdens that make it hard to save for retirement, qualify for that mortgage, or start their business. As students ourselves, this burden is close to home. And as we stand alongside 2.8 million peers who will graduate with student loans this year, we're both honored and excited to bring before you Kowalski. We've created a platform that enables a reverse auction in the loan industry. Consumers propose the terms and conditions, and lenders compete for their business by providing offers that reasonably meet individual demands. In short, our technology allows consumer sovereignty in the loan industry.
From a technical standpoint, we plan on using Amazon Web Services to host our entire backend infrastructure. We chose Amazon Web Services because its cloud services are extremely reliable, cost-effective, and extremely secure as well. So it's really easy to scale the application as the product grows and gains traction. But one of the key technical differentiators of our application will actually be a heavy reliance on a blockchain. So we plan on using the blockchain to employ smart contracts that will replace traditional loan contracts. And this will not only speed up the loan process, but it will also make it more efficient. It will reduce any hidden costs or any operation costs for financial institutions. It will also just ensure that if any of the loan terms are ever changed, all parties are notified instantly of this change, and everything is totally automated and self-executing. But we also plan to use the blockchain to hold financial institutions accountable for offering better interest rates in the future. And we're doing so by storing a running history of interest rates throughout the years that financial institutions have offered for similar loans, and so that we can hold them accountable later for offering more reasonable interest rates. And this is just like a demo of two different portals we have on our application, one for the financial institutions and one for the borrowers.
Now I want you to imagine there's this teacher in India that's been teaching for the last 15 years without charging any students in a village in India. He's been teaching them under no shelter. And after all these years, he wants to build a school for these kids, but he hasn't got any funding to make a shelter or even like start somewhere. So in 2013, the government of India passed a very crucial law which mandates 2% of any corporate's annual profits for social good. So if you're a corporate, you've got to spend 2% of it for social good. So how can this help someone like Ram? So there's a lot of problems currently. Inequity, basically, lots of NGOs which are international are getting this funding. Non-compliance issues, that 70% of India's corporates are not even complying with this at the moment, and corruption. So DonMatch provides a solution. We give tools to the smaller NGOs or people like Ram who have been doing this for a long time. We ease the process, so we make it easier, and we increase transparency in the system. As a result, both sides can see where things are going, and so can the government, as a result increasing trust.
Being a startup is all about having things unpredictable and having things change on you. I think you got that, but what's amazing is that out of that chaos emerged fairly cogent pitches and really fresh new ideas. Hopefully you got something out of it too, because you had wonderful guest speakers who gave you the practical perspective on things and told you about how they created startups themselves. You got some lessons in entrepreneurship. You finally got to meet the talking head from the Venture Dojo videos. Ken was here for a while. It was awesome. He had to run away to help judge another class because there are many challenge labs. You also got some design thinking because both Rachel and I have experience in that. So we try to instill that as well. And maybe you also have a better idea whether you want to be an entrepreneur or not. It's okay if you don't. It's okay if you do. And if you do, we have wonderful opportunities for you, starting with the accelerator that you could go and apply for, because why not? And like I told you at the very beginning, many student teams actually go on and get funding for their ideas. So if you're passionate, don't quite drop out of school just yet. I can't tell you that, but please continue. So overall, it's been a humbling experience. Amazing progress, really cool presentations, and you also obviously practiced because things went pretty smooth, no technical issues. So thank you again for the great work that you guys did, and now you have time to study for finals, and this class is over. Thank you.
All of you are qualified to go out in the world and become champions.